Okay, hello students. In this video, I am going to discuss on the topic of ecosystem of class 8 standard. Okay, so this ecosystem topic, all of us have idea. We have been studying about ecosystem from our junior classes. All of us have idea about the ecosystem. Okay. So I expect the students of class 8 standard, okay, please sit with copies and pen so that you can jot down all the important points. So ecosystem, so let us first understand what is ecosystem. Okay, let's not go through the words, the sentence which is there in the book. Let us understand the concept of ecosystem first. Okay, ecosystem is an area, you can say, or you can say a self-contained area, okay, where all the living organisms and non-living organisms, they exist, they survive together, okay, and they interact with each other. Not only they survive, they interact with each other. Okay, there is interaction among all the living organisms. The living organisms, one another, they interact with each other, and also there is interaction takes place between living and non-living things. Okay, so two types of interaction we see in an ecosystem. Okay, again I am repeating, interaction among the living organisms, and also another way, there is interaction between living and non-living things in an ecosystem. Okay, we will see in details the type of interaction there. Okay. But before that, let us understand why this interaction, why this interaction required or interaction takes place in an ecosystem. Okay, whether it is in between the living organisms or in between a living and a non-living factor. Okay, what is the need of interaction? Okay. See, this interaction, okay, the purpose behind is to survive, to exist. Okay, or you can say the survivability comes mainly is for food. Okay, so you can say the interaction purpose R is the food, or it is the survivability or existence. Okay, so for a living organism to survive in an ecosystem, interaction is very important. Whether a living organism is interacting with another living organism, or a living organism interacting with the non-living factors of the ecosystem. Okay, the purpose behind is that to survive, to exist, okay, to get the food. Okay, this is why the interaction is required. Okay, so now these living and non-living things in the ecosystem, let us divide them into two categories. So we see them as biotic components, and also we see as abiotic components. Okay, biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic components means we know the lives. Okay, all the living organisms, starting from plant, other animals, small microorganisms, all living being comes under this biotic component. A biotic component means I am talking about the non-living things. So biotic means I am talking about the living beings. Okay, whether this abiotic means we are seeing the non-living things. Okay, these two types of components are found in an ecosystem interacting with each other. Okay, so first let's see these abiotic components. Okay, and how a living organism is interacting with non-living, with these non-living factors. Okay, then we will talk about the interaction between the living beings. Okay. See, First of all, let us know what are those non-living factors which are there in the ecosystem. Number one, sunlight. Okay, let us discuss few factors. Sunlight. Number two, we can say air. Okay, or in that sense also we can mention about wind. Number three, water. Number four, soil. Okay. Number five also you can write moist condition. Okay. So these are some of the non-living factors which are present in the ecosystem. Now, what the role they are playing in the ecosystem? Okay, how the living beings are interacting with them. See, sunlight. Sunlight is the source of what? Source of energy. Sunlight is the source of energy. As we have already seen in the photosynthesis that sunlight is the major source of energy which is trapped and the food is made in the plant. It's not only that, okay, behind all the living organism to survive, to exist on this world, in this world, the sole source of energy is the solar energy, the sunlight, which is very, very important. Okay, so the living organisms interacting with the solar energy all the time. Okay, the plants, living organism, trapping the solar energy to make the food. The solar energy, apart from that, are also useful for us. Okay, solar energy that leads to changing temperature of the world. Okay, high temperature, low temperature, both are important for us, right? And a very common thing we know that we have been studying in the book that vitamin D that also we get from the sun or solar energy. Though there are some other technicalities, I'm not getting into that. Anyways, so we can see that solar energy is important for the survival. Now, air and wind. So air and wind also important. One example, gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange. Okay, there is another concept called atmospheric pressure. So these are all important factors for the survivability of the living organisms in this world. Okay, gaseous exchange is very common, that plants are intaking what? Carbon dioxide to make the food. So carbon dioxide, air molecules, releasing out oxygen. That oxygen molecules are again absorbed by us, inhaled by us, and we are releasing carbon dioxide again back to the atmosphere. Okay, so all the living organisms are depending on oxygen and carbon dioxide, directly, indirectly. Okay, apart from that, all other air molecules are also responsible, also have important role. I mean, they have important role there in the ecosystem, like nitrogen in the air. Nitrogen we don't inhale. Nitrogen is also not directly inhaled by the plants, but nitrogen can be fixed by some nitrogen fixers, some bacteria which are present in the soil, which are present in the roots of the plant. They fix the nitrogen, convert into nitrates and nitrites, that is minerals, and then those are absorbed by the plant roots. So we can see that air molecules, air playing very important role. Okay. Next, water. We know that water is life. We can see everywhere that we talk about saving water. Okay, not to waste water, because without water we cannot survive. I don't think that I need to explain more that what is the importance of water in our life, right? Now, soil. Soil is also important. Soil is also important for the plants, okay, for other animals. Okay, there are thousands of animals which are present in the soil. Not thousands, there are millions of organisms which exist, which survive in the soil. For them, the habitat is the soil. Earthworm, millions of bacteria, okay, millipede which are present in the soil, inside the soil. Okay, that's the habitat, their ecosystem there. Understood? Now, these plants, if there is no soil, how can plant exist? The roots, they fix the plants in a particular position because they have a grip on the soil. Okay, the soil is very important. Plants are getting nutrients from the soil. Okay, we practice agriculture in the soil. Okay, we get minerals, we go for mining the minerals, that is from the soil. The coal, for example, the biofuels we are getting from the soil. Our homes, our buildings, everything are built in the on the soil. Okay, so soil also have importance in our life. I mean, very important role there of soil in our life for our existence. Okay, now moist condition is also important. Moist condition, there is the water vapor, the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere is also very important for us. The moist condition also helps growing some important plants and organisms too. Okay, so these are the some of the factors. So here I have discussed some of the examples where you have seen that how living organisms are, directly you can say depends on the non-living organism for its survivability. This is what the interaction between the living and the non-living things. Clear? Now let's move to the next point. The interaction, now we will see the interaction between the living organisms. The living organisms also, they interact with each other, they depend on each other for the survivability. Okay, in another way I can say that for the food, one living organism depends on the other. Okay, and they depend for food on one another, and this is how they survive. Okay, let's discuss an example which is very popular and common in your book. I am not using any other example from outside, but I will be using the common example, and it's on you, okay, that you will come up with other examples that we experience in the ecosystem. Okay. So first is the grass, as we know. So actually we're talking about the plants, which are the sole producer of food in the ecosystem. They make the food, not for only the plant for themselves, for the whole universe, right? So grass is the producer, the only producer in the ecosystem, you can say, the plants. Now in this example, these are the grass. So this is also, I can say, let's write, this is the trophic level 1. Okay, trophic level 1. Just one second, let me see that if any other important points there, because I'm strictly trying to bind with the syllabus that is covered of class 8 standard. Otherwise I would have start with some other topics that are not covered in the syllabus of class 8. Anyways, so trophic level 1, the producers. Clear? So where all the different stages, okay, we are denoting by the term as trophic level. Now the grass, now what happens is that there are herbivorous animals. So for example, grasshopper, okay, it is a herbivorous producer, or you can say the producer is the primary consumer. Okay, so this is the first, in this example, this is the first consumer, okay, which is directly depending on the plants for the food. Okay, so primary consumer. So now what happens is that, so we can label them as here trophic level 2. Okay, and grasshopper is what we can see here, this is herbivores, okay, which eats only the plant resources, the foods produced by the plant. Now what is next here? Next, for example, frog. So frog here, okay, which is feeding on the grasshopper for the food. Okay, So not directly on the plants, indirectly definitely. So directly for the food it depends on the grasshopper. So this is the, now I am writing it as a secondary consumer, secondary consumer. Okay. Now this is the trophic level 3. Okay, and this is the carnivores, depends on flesh of other animals. What next? Let me write here. Okay, frog is eaten by snake, for example. Okay, so frog is eaten by snake, so it is the tertiary consumer, okay, and this comes under what? Trophic level 4. Done. So they are depending on each other. Snake is directly depending on the frog for its food. So we can write here, this is also, snake is also carnivorous, right? Carnivore. Then next, it can be a peacock or it can be a eagle, okay, which feeds on snake, right? Depends on the snake for the food. So this is what I am writing here. Quaternary consumer. Okay, so it is the what? It is the trophic level. Let's write here. This is the trophic level 5. Okay, and this is what also I can use, top carnivore. I can say as top carnivore. Okay, or one more term I can use for this stage, apex predators. Understood? So this is what you see, this is one example that how in the ecosystem different organisms, different animals, living animals, they depend on each other, and all different stages I am giving as trophic level. So trophic level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are producer, herbivorous, carnivores, top carnivores or apex predators. Okay, at trophic level 5. This is one just example. It is not necessary that you always have to give till trophic level 5. It can be till trophic level 3 also you can write. You can write, there are examples till trophic level 3. You can give examples of trophic level 4. Whatever examples you feel like you experience in the ecosystem, you can write. So it is your you can say it's a homework. Okay, it's a job to do now after understanding this, that on a page, okay, you make a list of these. This you can say these are the food chain, you can say the food chain. Okay, these are foods following the chain. So one animal on another depending for the food. So it is following a food chain. So you can make a list of food chains that you experience around in the ecosystem. Okay, more the this practice you will do, more you will make the list by observing in and around the surroundings of ecosystem. More the concept you will get, more the understanding will be there. Okay. So this is the food chain here. Okay, let me see now what is left behind now. Okay, now after this, one very important, see, this is not finished. See, the food chain, I can say okay, it is done. For now food chain stops here, but okay, the trophic level chain, you can say it stops here, but after that also story left. Okay, I'm learning this now. It's better if you can jot this down. Okay. Now after this what happens? there are three concepts. Even after this, till this trophic level 5 we studied, after this also, after this trophic level 5 also there are story. What is that? 3, there are animals, there are organisms still left, okay, in the ecosystem. Who depend on dead and decaying organic matters of plant and animal. We know about it. Let's write it. Okay. These are scavengers. Okay. These are detritivores. Okay. And then decomposers also. Okay. See, scavengers are those animals, those organisms who depends on dead animals and plants for the food. They directly depends on dead animal and plants for the food. Okay, these are the scavengers. One example, vulture. Okay, vulture we know, one good example, who feeds on what? Dead bodies of animals and plants. Okay, so these are the scavengers. Now, these are the organisms, these groups, these are the organisms who depends on the remains left by the scavengers. Okay, detritivores and decomposers. Detritivores who feed on the decaying organic matters of plants and animals that is left behind by the scavengers. Okay, depends on decaying organic matter of plants and animal remains. Example, earthworm. A good example is earthworm. Apart from that, also we can add millipede here. Okay, so these are the examples of detritivores. Clear? Now, decomposers. Decomposers are those organisms which cannot ingest the matters, the decaying organic matters directly. They cannot ingest those food particles which are left behind. They cannot ingest them directly. So what they do, they absorb the nutritions. Okay, they absorb the or you can say they get the nutrition. Okay, they get the nutrition by absorbing the nutrients. Okay, from the remaining, or you can say decomposing remains of plants and animals. Okay, they absorb the nutrients from them. They cannot directly ingest them. They can just absorb the nutrients out of them. Okay, the nutrients that results from the breaking down of those organic matters. Those nutrients are absorbed by these organisms. Understood? So they cannot directly ingest those matters. What they do, they absorb the nutrients which results from the breaking down of those organic matters. Okay, and they survive. Examples, any bacteria, fungi. Okay, these are the examples of decomposers. Understood? So the definitions with examples are very, very important. Write about them on your own language what you understood from me. Understood? Okay. For today, this is all I wanted to discuss. Okay, I'm not making this video much longer. In my next video, okay, I will try to finish this chapter. It's a very small chapter and very easy also. Okay, so I hope you understood. If not, you can always ask me question. Okay, and I will try my level best to solve your problem. Thank you so much.